So through the course of the previous video, you saw this character's creation, and that was starting from a basic primitive, which was a cylinder, adding on half a sphere for her chest, and then just building on top of that to get to the character that we're at now. And obviously that was time-lapsed, so it was speeded up quite a lot. But as you can appreciate, it took a while to create her. So the time-lapse just got the whole process across to you, so you can go back and refer to it as much as you want. So this is where the character is now, and I've done a little bit more work on her since the last video, just tidying up the model a little bit, tidying up the topology, fixing a few areas and adding a few little tweaks here and there. If I zoom in, we can see we have eyes, we have eyebrows, we also have eyelashes. But on top of this, what I've also done is created a tongue and two sets of teeth, the upper and lower teeth. Now, because this is going to be a virtual actress, and in the next issue we are going to cover rigging her, creating blend shapes, so she's going to need to move around and emote with a full set of facial expressions. We're going to see the inside of her mouth. If I bring back the body, we go inside the head. Looks a bit weird, but we've got our eyes, we've got the tongue, the teeth, and we've also got this section here, which is just an extruded area, sort of a pocket, which is going to be inside the mouth. So when she opens her mouth, you don't just see the back of her head, you actually see geometry inside there. Because she's going to animate as well, we also need to make sure there's enough geometry in the actual mesh so that it will deform correctly. So as we can see here, we have these edge loops going around the mouth here, we have a few going around the actual lips, and these are here following actual muscle lines from human anatomy. So as the face deforms, we will get natural crease lines up here. So if I just quickly move this up like so, you see we're starting to get a crease here. Push it in. Yes, it doesn't look too natural at the moment because it needs a bit more tweaking and a bit more work, but you get the general idea. Following natural muscle lines on your face means that when it deforms, it's going to deform in a natural, realistic way. But we'll cover that a lot more in the next tutorial. We've also added a couple of extra edge loops around the eye sockets here, and that's so when she blinks there's enough geometry there to go over the eye. And obviously there's areas which deform, like her shoulders, her elbows, her knees, even her fingers. We need to have those extra edge loops in there so that it will deform correctly. So this is where we are now. So what are we going to do next? We have the actual character modelled. So what do we need to model next? Well, let's have a look at creating her hair. Now we could just build her hair straight into this, just model it, and then it's done. But with this project we need to take a step back and just think about a different approach, and that is because she's going to be a virtual actress, she could have numerous hairstyles. So we could have her hair slicked back, we could have her hair with a centre parting, a side parting, we could have a fringe. There's lots of possibilities. She could even have spiky hair. So we need to think of a way to create the hair quickly, but still have that nice effect of sort of a stylised hairstyle. Now if you look at any hair, particularly CG hair, you can strip it right back, and you can sort of, if you break it down, you can imagine it being built up of sections, and you can see this made on sort of computer game art, where they take polygon strips, layer them up, and that creates a hairstyle. So we can take a similar approach here. So what we can do is just create one piece of hair, and then we can duplicate that, deform it to create our different hairstyles. So what I've done is I've already created a strip. Now I'm not going to go through the process of creating it. Let's just bring that up. Here it is up here. As you can see, it's quite a basic model, just created from a cube, extruded. And as a matter of personal taste, I've added this crease down the middle here, and that's just to give it a little bit more detail. You notice I've deleted the bottom and the end is open. Now if you imagine this as one strip of hair, it'll start off solid, and then we can use an alpha map down this end to get that sort of feathered hair type end to it. So once we've got one model here, we can duplicate that and repeat it around the head to create numerous styles. So if I hide this, and let's just have a look at a couple of hairstyles that I've already set up. So here's one, and it's made entirely from that one strip, just duplicated and deformed, and in this case half was created and then it was mirrored to create the other half. Now it's important at this stage to state that we need to make sure the topology for each hair strand remains the same. So don't add in any extra edge loops, don't delete any polygons for now. You can always edit it further when we go into Maya next, after we've UV'd and textured the hair. But we need to keep the topology exactly the same, because as you can imagine, going in and applying UVs to each of these strands individually can take a while. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually create UV one strand, and then using Maya's transfer attributes tool, because the topology is the same between these, we can copy the UVs between them. So there's no point in going in and worrying about having to UV each separately. So that's why I say we need to make sure the topology remains the same. So let's have a look at a couple of other styles. So we have hair with a fringe, we have a simple swept back look, which if we go back to the fringe, similar sort of hairstyle. Once we've got that one, we can just move the front back slightly, add in a fringe. We have hair parted down the centre, and obviously these will all need adjusting to get the most out of the geometry once we've UV'd and textured it and seen it lit and rendered. But these are just examples, just quickly thrown together. Let's have a look. You could even combine some like so. So we have half swept back, half coming over like so. We could even have a hairstyle like this and add in a prop of a bandana. So the hair's combed back and is collected underneath this bandana like so. But as you can see, it's all just using that one strip. If I bring it back, which is here, just that one strip, duplicated. The topology remains the same. The only areas that I've changed the topology are these little strands at the sides here, but we can quickly UV those separately. They're just going to be projected from the side. That's no big deal to UV those. But I hope you can see, just by using that one strand, how we can quickly just create some variety in the hairstyles. So when it comes to our virtual actress, we can create lots of different hairstyles quickly to suit whatever role or illustration you're shooting for. See, we could use something similar here, maybe have a ponytail coming up round the back there. So that's just a brief description on setting up and creating your hair. What we'll do next is we will probably move on from this and start to generate some clothing and just discuss briefly how to approach different styles of clothing. And then once we've got all our main models created and ready, we can take those into Maya and then start to UV everything and get it ready for texturing. So now we have a system in place for quickly generating numerous hairstyles. As we saw previously, it's just one section repeated over and over again. It's a very stylized look, but that's the look that we're after for this particular character. And these were done very quickly, so you could spend more time adding more layers on top just to sort of break up the sort of section element and look of it. So what next? Well, we need to think about clothing really. We can't have her just parading around naked. And again, we're going to be creating lots of different outfits, so we need to think about how to approach them. And just like with the hair, we need a process in place so that we can generate numerous items quickly. So what we can do to start us off is use the existing geometry we have here, duplicate this, and then mould it into the shape of a shirt maybe. And because we're using the existing geometry, we know it's going to fit her perfectly. So let's just duplicate her torso here. That's roughly where the shirt would be. Let's duplicate that. Let's just focus on this. And then it's just a case of going through and tidying this up. So let's maybe delete these lower sections here. Get rid of her navel, belly button, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you're watching. So just go around. So we want this shirt to just come over the top of her chest here, so let's just follow that round there. Maybe comes under her armpit and then around her back. Something like that. Just ignore those, that's just where some stray polygons are. So let's just mirror this. And that'll just mean that when we're working on one side, it's going to transfer those changes across to the other side. And because we've mirrored that, we can get rid of this upper section. And maybe this here as well. So this, we're just very quickly going through, or maybe just get rid of those. Try to keep to edge loops. The mirror's supposed to be on. That's better. So we have these coming around here. We just want the topology to be clean. It's quite annoying how when you're working in a window, you can't press Control M to merge. It just doesn't seem to register. To go up to menu, merge, let's get rid of these here, merge. We don't want this spike up her back, so let's just smooth that a couple of times. And what we ideally want is a loop to go around the top here. So let's just select around here. We want to cross this here, over here, going across. We want it going all the way around the top, down the middle. Let's cut that there. Again, I'm trying to use a hotkey. Now we can go in, get rid of these triangles. So we have two triangles here. So let's maybe cut there, turn that back into a quad, and then we can merge this. Then we're starting to get our nice edge loop around the top. Get rid of that triangle there. As you can see, we're very quickly just starting to get sort of a shirt sort of look. So I'm just going to pause the video while I just tidy up this up a little bit more. So there we have the top tidied up a little bit more. I removed the sort of recess in between here, just so it looks more like a fitted top. If we bring back the character, it's good to work over the top of the mesh, just so you can see how it lies. So there, just by duplicating her actual torso, doing a little bit of cleanup, we've got ourselves a shirt. What we could do is easily now turn this into a dress, just by extruding the edges down, like so. Again, just adjust these. So maybe something like that. Flatten off the bottom, obviously. We've got sort of a mini skirt going on. Use our old friend the smooth tool just to soften some of these edges. And there we've just quickly turned that shirt into a dress. But we can go in and add in more detail. So let's just add a bit more of a crease in her waist. Just add a little bit more detail in there. We've got this lump at the back. Let's just smooth that. That's it. Make sure symmetry is enabled. So we have the basic skirt at the bottom here, but we could add more detail into that. Maybe we want it to be a pleated skirt. You could also extend this further down to make a longer dress. We could add in more details around here. We could maybe, if we create a bevel, just add a bit of an overhang here, so then you can have two separate garments. Again, this is just very quickly done. But as you can see, we've quickly created a shirt from a torso, turned the shirt into a dress. I'm going to get rid of that because it just looks horrible. So if we wanted to create sort of a pleated skirt look, we could maybe just go in and actually select the edges. Let's just bevel those. That's just doubling everything up nicely for us, and we'll just get rid of this crease here for now. And then we can go in and just select every other one. Or actually, let's just select these round here where we have these weird triangles up here. And this is what we can use for our main pleats. Select the rings, X, and then what we're going to do is modify local scale, and then we can pull those in. Is that coming out? Some of those are coming out. Or is it modify local move? That's better. Push those into the model. And there we're starting to get sort of a pleated look. So by experimenting with this main sort of template of such, we can get different looks from different and create different items of clothing. So let's just delete this and look at some of the things that I've done a little bit more work on. So we have a basic dress, short dress with no straps. And again, this is just using that t-shirt template, extending down the bottom, and as you can see, we've just worked in those pleats, added a bit more detail in there, and also make sure you add a little bit of depth to the fabric. And as I was saying before, this can easily be turned into a longer dress. Just extend, add in an extra edge loop. Maybe it's a more fitted dress. I've got the inside geometry here just poking through, so I'll just move that down. And there we've turned a short dress into a longer dress. We also have the same dress, but we've just created some straps. going across the top. And then obviously we can divide those two. So we just have a shirt, and this is just a base template, remember. We can go in and we can add creases and folds, add in lots of details, just work more on top of this to get a much more detailed item of clothing. And obviously if we take the bottom section of that off, we just have a skirt. So by using the geometry that we already have, we can then generate these other items of clothing very quickly. And what we'll do is we'll use these skirts and these dresses and these shirts that we've got, and we will take those over to the next tutorial in the next issue when we come to create our sort of girl band. So that is, we have, let's just bring everything back. Oh, and also you can use the same sort of approach. There we go. Same sort of approach to create the bikini, which you can see in the accompanying render. Again, the top and the bottom here, just duplicated from the main mesh and then adjusted just to create that simple bikini look. Let's bring back her hair, her eyes and everything else. So we have our character. We have some items of clothing that we could start to throw on her and create different characters. So now we need to go and look into texturing. But obviously before texturing, we need to plan out how we're going to UV her, and we will explore that in the next video.